You know, when we're planning a trip, our minds are usually on the fun stuff, right? Flights, hotels, all the incredible sights we're going to see. But what about the health risks we don't see? Today, we're diving into some crucial guidance from the World Health Organization on a topic that's pretty serious, but also something you can absolutely prepare for: exposure to blood and body fluids while traveling.
So let's just imagine this for a second. You're in a foreign country, and there's an accident. It could be anything: a minor cut, a traffic collision, or something that lands you in a local clinic. The immediate injury is one thing, but are you prepared for the hidden risks that can follow? Let's break down exactly what you need to know.
Okay, so let's get into the heart of it. The problem really boils down to two main scenarios, and each one comes with its own set of, well, unseen dangers.
First, there's the chance you might need a blood transfusion. This could happen because of a serious accident, a sudden illness, or maybe a complication from a condition you already have. The second situation, which is actually a lot more common, is an accidental exposure. Think about something like a needle stick, a splash, or even just helping someone who's injured.
Now, when we talk about transfusions, the number one concern is something called transfusion-transmissible infections, or TTIs. And yeah, these are exactly what they sound like: serious, life-altering diseases that can be passed from a donor to a recipient if the blood is contaminated.
And the list of potential infections is, well, it's pretty sobering. We're talking about viruses like hepatitis B, C, and HIV. But it also includes things like malaria, syphilis, and even Chagas disease. This is exactly why the safety of the local blood supply is so critical.
So, what actually makes a blood supply safe? Well, it all starts with voluntary, unpaid donors from low-risk groups. Then, every single unit of donated blood has to be tested for all those infections. And finally, it needs to be stored and transported just right. The problem is, in some parts of the world, these strict standards just aren't in place, which, dramatically increases the risk.
Okay, let's switch gears to that second scenario: accidental exposure. And this goes way beyond a hospital setting. This could be an injury from a used needle you find somewhere. It could be an unsafe tattoo or piercing. It could even be something as simple as helping an injured person without wearing gloves. Basically, anytime blood or certain body fluids touch broken skin or your eyes or mouth, there's a risk.
All right, we've laid out the problems. Now for the most important part, the solution. Because knowing what to do in those first few minutes after something happens, that can make all the difference. Think of this as your emergency action plan.
So, if you get a cut or a needle stick, here's what you do. First, gently squeeze the wound to make it bleed a little. This helps flush out whatever might have gotten in. Next, wash it really well with soap and clean, running water. Then just dry it and slap on a waterproof bandage. Now for the crucial don'ts. Absolutely do not suck the wound, and don't pour harsh stuff like bleach on it. That can just damage the tissue and make things even worse.
But what if something splashes into your eye? The key here is immediate irrigation. You need to flush it, and fast. Use clean water or sterile saline, tilt your head back, and if you can, have someone gently pour the liquid over your eye. Make sure you're pulling the eyelids open to get a really thorough cleaning.
Now here's a really interesting and kind of counterintuitive tip from the WHO. If you're wearing contact lenses when this happens, leave them in while you flush your eye. They actually act as a little protective barrier. Once you're done flushing, then you can take them out and clean them. It's a small detail, but it could make a huge difference.
Okay, look, these first aid steps are super important, but they're just the beginning. The biggest thing to remember is this: first aid buys you time. It doesn't solve the problem. After any potential exposure, you have to get urgent medical advice immediately. And when I say urgent, I really mean it. Time is absolutely critical because a clock has just started ticking. And this race against time brings us to a critical medical treatment called post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP.
So what is PEP? Well, think of it like an emergency medication plan. It's a course of drugs you take after a potential exposure to a virus, and the whole goal is to stop an infection before it can actually take hold in your body. But to really get a sense of what very soon means, let's look at a specific example.
For a potential HIV exposure, treatment should begin as soon as humanly possible, ideally within just 2 hours. 2. The effectiveness of PEP drops off a cliff with every single hour that passes. This isn't a suggestion, it's a non-negotiable, all-out race against the clock.
So if a doctor decides PEP is the right move for potential HIV exposure, you're looking at a 28-day course of powerful antiretroviral drugs. And let's be real, this isn't like taking a few antibiotics. It's a serious medical treatment that can have some major side effects. It really just hammers home why prevention is always the best option. On top of that, you'll need follow-up tests for months to make sure it worked. And during that whole time, you have to take strict precautions, like practicing safe sex to protect other people.
Now, for hepatitis B, the story is completely different, and it all comes down to your vaccination status. Just look at this table. If you're unvaccinated, that's the top row, the recommendation is aggressive. You need both a vaccine and an injection of something called hepatitis B immunoglobulin. But now look at that second row. If you've been vaccinated and you know your body responded well, you might not need any treatment at all. This just perfectly shows why knowing your vaccination status before you travel isn't just a good idea, it's a critical piece of your personal health info.
And here's another really critical point. PEP is not a magic bullet for everything. We have effective post-exposure treatments for HIV and for hepatitis B. But as of right now, there is no PEP available for hepatitis C or hepatitis E. For those viruses, prevention and immediate first aid are literally your only lines of defense.
So, after hearing all that, how can we travel smarter and safer? Well, it really all comes down to being prepared before your plane even leaves the ground. So here it is, your pre-travel checklist, the things that can truly make all the difference. First, carry your blood type info. In a bad accident, this one little card can save so much critical time. Second, make sure that hepatitis B vaccination is up to date. Like we just saw, being vaccinated could be the difference between aggressive treatment and nothing at all. Third, pack a small first aid kit with high-quality sterile supplies, needles, dressings, the works. You hope you never need it, but if you do, you'll know the equipment is safe. Also, get comprehensive travel health insurance that specifically covers getting you home or repatriation. And finally, if you have a condition like anemia that makes a transfusion more likely, talk to your doctor. Maybe you can carry medication to keep things stable. It's all about managing your own risk before you go.
In the end, preparedness really is the best medicine. It turns that moment of panic into a clear plan of action. So after all this, what's one thing you're going to add to your travel kit or your checklist before your next adventure? Definitely something to think about.